Hello again. Let's continue once again learning the programming language SIG. And yesterday we were looking at errors and I had some help from chat. Thank you again. Much appreciated. So we are looking at error handling, and the goal was to remove this, what's it called, union of error and U8. But I don't think we're gonna reach that, because for each of these, yeah, maybe we will, because I'm using a standard debug output to do the error messaging. I was thinking that every time we wanted to output something to screen, we were using this standard out writer. Just gonna check, yes. Just wanted to make sure that the microphone was actually turned on, so would have been less optimal if it wasn't. But maybe we're going to end up not using the standard output writer at all, because we can just use this. But I kind of wanted to differentiate those two. So if an error happened, use the debug. If not, then use the standard writer. Oh, spilled some water. So let's see where we were at yesterday. We were working on this on dear absolute, where we opened the directory and we're pointing at something that doesn't exist to make sure that we get an error. And we wanted to handle everything in a switch case to try to, switch on an error and see how that worked. I can't even remember if this worked. It did not. We get an error that says this is unexpected. Yes, it is. We should switch on the error itself, but I think what's missing is this for all of them. Oh, whoa, it's a bit fast there. And let's see what it says. No. What's it on about now? The else, unreachable else prong, all cases already handled. So it actually understands which errors can be returned from this one, and when we switch on each and every one of them, we don't need the else block. And we have a trailing comma. I don't like trailing commas. I find it weird. It kind of says this should be something more, and there isn't. But then again, it's nice to have. If you want to add something, it's already there. Potato, potato. I can live with it. And it builds. Let's run it. It says possible errors. Did we output that somewhere? Yes, we did. We don't need that anymore. And what do we want to do with all these different errors? Maybe we don't want to do anything. Maybe we just want to ensure that it works as intended. All this is error handling. We are already in errors, so we can use this. We could add this to each and every one of them. Error file not found. But that's not a file, that's a directory. But I guess they call it the same. File not found, this one. Found. Yes, and once again, I looked at the keyboard. I'm trying not to, but as I mentioned yesterday, I got a new keyboard about a year ago and got into a bad habit of looking at the keyboard instead of just writing and retyping if I made a typo. So we needed both, and I did it again. Incredible. Why is that not working? That should kind of be the simplest of simple things to do, as simple as simple. Let's see. Yeah. Gotten used to not using the semicolon as in Kotlin. We don't use it. That's what I'm working with every day. Directory not found error. Yes, that is perfect. I know we are not handling the others. That's just kind of trying to understand what's going on. So I just wanted to make sure that it actually hit this file not found, and it does. It says directory not found because I know we are looking at a directory, and I'm just typing out the error itself. And this again, thanks for the help yesterday. This way of outputting an error made sense, because if we I tried to just get some information onto the to output the error, but what I was actually outputting was the type of the error, and that is the complete list of this, because it's the type, and the type is a I made a little bit of a cheat sheet. I guess that it was the entire struct or union of all the errors. I guess it was the union of all the errors. So this handles errors now, so we can remove this, and hopefully it will now compile and run without errors. Yes. So that one's done. And we close the directory info after use, or when we exit the block, not scope. In SIG we call it a block. Iterate. Again, here we have a try, but that's to print out. And I don't think this will, we're not going to use this. It tests if it's a directory, and if it is, type out this, and if not, then it's a file. So there's only these two kinds, I guess. Nope. File directory, symbolic links, Unix domain socket, and door. What's a door? I know, yeah, I know what a door is, but in this context. Block device, character device. So this is kind of naive. We are saying if it's not a directory, it's some kind of file. And I guess for this test, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. But we should handle the possibility of this being an error, right? Or should we just use the debug output and delete this one? Let's do it for one and then use the debug output for the rest of it. Yeah, we have some tries here instead that are more interesting. The other ones here, we have this one where we should do kind of the same as we did with the ones to get the directory information. That's not that one, that's that one. Error handling. I kind of like the way we are handling this. See, now there's this code actions. Discard capture name or remove capture. I guess it's because it sees it as an error because I'm not using it yet. So it suggests that it can be removed. Fair enough. It can be removed, but I'm not going to. Let's see, we can use the switch again. Switch on error. And again, it doesn't suggest what to use, but it knows, as we saw before, it has an idea of which errors this can give us. Can we just get that list somewhere? File open error. So it can provide all these errors. It's so fast when I hit the bottom. You must be able to adjust that. And then these as well. I guess these are included because they are added to this error. So let's add them all. We can also, maybe we can just focus on the ones we want to handle and then do an else. Maybe, yeah. Let's get everything aligned and then do the same as we did before. It's errors. Oh, yeah, we need to do the what's gonna happen for each of the switches, of course. Yeah, I know this isn't very interesting. It's more for training my brain to remember what's actually what I need to do to handle errors. So it's kind of repeating exactly what I did yesterday, just working with errors. So yeah, not very interesting for you guys, but I need to do it and train to be able to move on, because I know I'm gonna have to handle errors a lot, and just ignoring them is a bad habit. So let's see. Again, we can have, sorry, file not found. I guess that's gonna be, oh, come on, fumble fingers. That is incredible that I can't even hit the keyboard now. Thank you. File not found, new line. We're not gonna give it anything. So if we can't find the file, then do this. And we are using an, yeah, we're reading it down here. So I don't know what happens if we do a read and the file buffer, or the content of the file can't be in the buffer. I guess we just get the buffer size and we have to do another read. Again, in other languages, you just say you want to read a line and you don't care how long it is. Things are happening for you beneath the surface, and yeah, it's okay, but it obfuscates what's actually happening. Are there any memory allocation to save that line somewhere in memory? Or what's happening? Again, if you do it in SIG, you have to allocate, you have to make sure that you're handling stuff as you want to. If you're doing an allocation of, let's say, 2 kilobytes, and you have a file that is just, that doesn't have any new line symbols anywhere, and it's just megabytes long, then how are you gonna handle it? You'll figure it out, and it will be clear in the code what's going on. Not just that either it allocates the full file size, or it does some fancy buffering tricks behind the scenes. Here it will be clear. Again, I know that you can use libraries and so on that does things for you, and that will also kind of hide things away. But yeah, that's actually one of the things that annoys me a lot when I see these memes for Python, where they show this short few line code that removes the background from an image or something. And it's like, yeah, you're loading a library with probably thousands of lines to do this, but it looks simple. But again, it's just hiding what's actually going on. So it's not that the code necessarily is simpler or shorter than other languages. You're just using a library. And yes, there's probably a lot of good libraries for Python. I wouldn't know. I touched Python very short for a short period when I hit on what was called Pygame to do game development. But I don't like the indentation things dictating how the code is executed. If I want things on one line, I do it on one line. If I want it more clear, I use it on multiple lines. So having a strict format, I don't like that. I totally understand that having it in the same fashion always makes it clear when you're used to looking at that code, but being forced to format your code in a specific way, no. Not everybody's brain works the same way, and somebody wants long lines and somebody wants short lines. Just a discussion about should the curly brackets be on the line or should it be on the next line? That's a huge discussion. And again, it's what you're used to, what you like. It shouldn't matter. The language itself shouldn't dictate that, in my opinion. Okay, let's see. Can we provoke an error here and do a return 3 and return, I don't know, is it a 1 not found? Yes, we can do that. Return 1. And we can do that as a 10. Allocation error is a 10. Not found is a 1. No? Be nice, come on. Error proxies is not a supported field access. Does not support field access. Is that because So it doesn't like the dot operation here. But this isn't. It's not like this, right? Then again, we are hiding something. Yeah. That would be weird. But then again, let's try to do this and see if it says that it's not exhaustive. Switch must handle all possibilities. So here there are more errors, but where do they come from? That is kind of funny. Files busy. I'm not sure on open that that's an issue, but if you want to write to it, then maybe it is. File too big. No space left. Oh, running out of space, of course. Woodblock, system resources. I can't imagine writing a new programming language and having to figure out all of these eventualities. What can go wrong? I do have a brain that is focusing on all the bugs and all the edge cases, but that's kind of good when you're a programmer. But to that extent, I'm not sure. We're just gonna do an else to handle the rest, just to test. File not found. And no, it is not found, as this does not exist. And remember to build before you run. Testing output. Perfect. I'm not going to do anything more. Again, I just wanted to train doing this. So either we try which catch being, if we use catch, it will be thrown out of this block and has to be handled somewhere else. And if we use catch, we catch the possible errors like this. We can take that, switch on it on the specific errors. It could be that something could be recovered. Some errors could be ignored, so we could still execute the code. We could, for instance, have, if we can't open this file because it doesn't exist, we could make some code that created the file and opened it instead. But yeah, did we not have an allocator up here? Yeah, we did. We have it right here. Catch out of memory. Yeah, if that's the only error you can get on a memory allocation, we could just copy paste this one. Try allocation. Alloc. Yeah, error out of memory or an array of the given type. And here we have the U8s. And we're gonna use a U8 because this one, the file in read, demands a U8 array. And that's what we're gonna give it. So this try needs to be gone. And we're gonna again use defer to free what we allocated. And we're gonna do it when we exit the block. That's one thing about sick. I don't know if it's in any other language. I think I've seen it somewhere before where we use this defer keyword. Maybe it's in Kotlin. Deferred value is a non-blocking cancelable future. A cancelable future. Really? Yeah. Guess it's not quite the same. But again, this is very readable. When you exit the block, run this. And it's put on kind of a stack. So every time you call defer, it's put on a stack. And this is the next one is put on top. And the next one is put on top. And then when you exit the block, it takes it from the top and deallocates in reverse order. So if you have nested things, it will be deallocated from the innermost to the outermost. Then we try to read the file. Let's catch that one. Catch. Not these blocks, not this one, not that one. Come on. I will learn this keyboard at some point in the future. And let's see, do we have some information about which errors? No, there can be multiple. Read errors. Again, we have a huge block and then unexpected error. I'm not sure how to access this because this is nice and easy to handle, but this unexpected error, like the proxy ones for the previous one, I couldn't access. Can we just use read error and dot it? I'm just gonna copy this one and then say read error. Doesn't know read error. And it still doesn't want to code complete this. That would be nice if it actually knew all of these and it could just insert them. But I guess we'll have to wait until JetBrains sees that that SIG is actually an amazing language, and they're gonna make a new IDE for it. That worked. That was what I was looking for yesterday, but this works for me. Oh, I'm actually missing the switch. Switch on err. And we need one more. There we are. Let's see. What do we have here? Not open for reading. Cancelled. Do we have something that we can test? Operation aborted. System resource. Cancelled. Access denied. We can try to change the owner and see if we can get an access denied. Access denied. I can't remember which movie that was from. Access denied. Yeah, we don't have to output the error once again. We know which error it is. We already typed that. But let's, don't we have a terminal? We do. We have this file. And it's owned by Streamer. Change owner of, I can't even remember the syntax of change owner. Isn't it something like this? Operation not. Then let's see again. Yeah, now it's not owned by, but everybody can still read it. So how is it? It's owner, group, and everybody, right? So chmod minus or minus R, then it's gonna remove reading from all, right? That's not what I want. What do I want? Change mod reference mode file. Again, examples. My brain works on examples. Recursive, absolutely not. So we can just ask mod remove read from group and anonymous. Okay, so you can just do it like that. So you say group minus R, owner minus R, but that was not what I guess that O is owner, right? What's the last group owner, and what is the last one? Anonymous? No, I know it's not anonymous. That would be wrong. Cheat sheet. Set execution for the owner and read and execution for the group and others. Owner and others. But they're both starting with an O, so which is which? Group, owner, user, group, owner. Is an owner or other? Come on. For others, that's the O. So I guess that this is right. It's group and others. Yeah, we need to define the file as well. Operation notes permitted. Yes. Now it can only be written and read and written to by inkdo21 and not by the streamer user, which is the current user. So let's see what happens if we build this. Oops. Handle all possibilities. Okay, so we still have other errors that we are not handling. What are you now on about? Incompatible type usize and void. What did I break? We still need to... No, we are not exiting, so that shouldn't matter. Return 5. Return 6. It's not that, is it? Yeah, it is. So why can't we just have an error happening? Try to handle it. Do something, but not return out. Oh, this is not... Are we returning the 5 to the byte reader? That would be weird. I want to exit the program by doing this, not give it a value. If it works, it should return this if it catches. This isn't something that should be here, right? It absolutely shouldn't print out bytes read from file. It doesn't matter, it still works. That is kind of weird, because it absolutely shouldn't be allowed to read that file, right? But that's up here. We are trying to open the file. What are we doing down here? Here we're just opening the file, and here we're reading it. So, can you open a file you don't have access to? You just can't read and write to it. Small nuances in the operating system, I guess. But we do exit before we write out anything from the file. So maybe I should just do this one, just to see if we get some other error. It might be something that we are not handling. Error, access denied. Then why aren't we hitting this one? Oh, we already get it up here. Here we are, opening file. That would make sense that you're not even allowed to. Yeah, you're not even allowed to open the file. So when you try to read it, yeah, you've already been told that access denied. So how would you ever hit this if you get the error when you try to open the file? Access denied. There's probably some weird combination of being able to open the file and not being able to read from it. I don't know, but at least we got the access denied up here. So the changes worked for that file. Can we just change chmod and make this readable again? Remember to sudo. And now we get everything. So even though the owner is different, as long as you are allowed to read and write from it by the groups and others, then there's no issue. And then we have the standard out, trying to write to the screen. The debug print also takes this one. I guess there's some internal error handling in this and allocation. Yeah. What happens if I exceed this? That feels like I need to test that. Bytes read, buffer read. Let's just do some stupid thing here. Yeah, so you can see I'm on a Danish keyboard. Danish is my first language. I'm from Denmark. So, yeah. That's why I stumble a bit at times with the English language. It's not my first language. Let's see, we don't even need any of this. Let's see. There should be more than 64 characters right there. Built. It still writes it out. It do not care. So what's happening? We're getting these. Okay. Did I access the wrong one before? Maybe I did. I'm pretty sure it said 64. It allocated 64 bytes. That is weird. I'm pretty sure that I saw 64 bytes array. No. Okay. Weird. I must have hit something. And not print. I don't know. Okay, so error handling. We can handle errors now. We can switch on them. That makes good sense. So it becomes a little bit cumbersome having all this information right there in code, but kind of like it. I don't know if you could just create some helper functions to handle the errors. But yeah, that was a nice run. Getting used to the try, the catch. Are there any other ways to handle errors? Should we just errors? Whoa. Let's just keep it down there. Error unions, yes, I get that. And you can do something direct. That's type allocation error or U16, and if you set it to a value, it becomes a U16 and not an error. And this one you can catch and give it a default value of 0. And that's where I was a little bit confused about this one, because it feels like if there's an error and I catch it, this will become the default value, and that's not what I want to do. These should exit the program. So I don't know if that is what is happening here. Now, of course, I changed it. But if we go up here where we had the access denied, yeah, that wouldn't be the right place to do it. Can we provoke an error in the read part here? I'm opening flags mode, read only. What else do we have? Write only. I guess that would provoke an error here. In, let's see, where's the read only? Not open for reading, this one. If we're gonna take this one and return not 5, but 999, just to make it very clear. And we're gonna change mod so it can't be read. Oh, now what? Come on. A U8, it can't be more than 256. So that helps because this indicates that this is a return a U8, and that is what this is. If it was returning a default value to this one, this would be a U, sorry, this would be a U size. And the U size is apparently different from system to system, but I guess that it's either 32 bytes or 64 bytes. But yeah, I guess this would be acceptable. Come on, just build. Yes, please. And there it is. Trying to open file. And it breaks out of the main function right here. So it's not just giving this bytes read 255 and then continues, because then we'd have this line as well, writing out. Yeah, we actually could have error opening file. Error trying to open file. And we get an access error. So we're already breaking up here. Yeah, because I just changed it. I shouldn't have. The only thing that changed was we open it to only be written to, not written to, not read. We still get an access denied. We shouldn't get that. The owner can read and write, we can't write. Then why do we get an access error? Error trying to open. I'm just going to change this to make sure that that is not what's giving us this. It is that one. Why? Oh. Again, sorry for being unused to this. Others can't write to this file. So we need to allow others and groups to write. We're just going to take groups as well. So now we should be able to read and write it. Write only. But then I'm sad to see that it's still not working. I open it as write only. Read and write only. Then why can I read from it? Shouldn't this give me an error when I try to read from it? That's what I would expect. I'm just gonna output something on the default error trying to read from file. Not open for reading, so it does hit this one. But why is it not hitting this one? Not open for reading. It is hitting that one now. That's so weird. Okay. Error. Trying to read from file. I know it gives the same output as the other one, but just to, again, test. And moving forward in small steps. So now we are getting this one, and it returns 255, and it has nothing to do with this. It exits on this location. So even if we flush right after this and this, it will never be output, right? Yeah. So we have concluded that there is a difference between a return 255 and just 255. So what happens if I do this? Because now I think that that would be just set as default value. No. Okay. So if you do a catch like this and you want a default value, you just have to set that default value. Do it like this. Let's do something like this. Yeah, go away. Just some spam in the chat. Sadly, that's a part of things. I'm not catching, I'm not doing anything like this. And now it would just give a default value of 25 bytes read, and it would output the buffer, even if there's nothing in there, even if it's garbage. Yeah. Okay. So the difference is, as soon as I say I want to catch it, now this is an error handling. As soon as I do not the catch, wasn't this also called catching? So we have catch, but we also have catching. Maybe? Potato, once again. But we got it verified that return, yes, that does return out of the function no matter what. And default values can be set. I would like to be able to set different default value based on the error. So is that possible? So if I have not open for reading, I would set the read bytes to 0. If it was something different, cancelled, and I knew that the default buffer that I allocate here contained some default message, I could just set it to the size of that message. So maybe that is possible somehow, but not by doing this, which I think would make sense. Either, yeah, I wouldn't have tried it if it didn't make sense to me. And I'm not even sure why it Complaints. Value of type comptime int ignored. Must be used. Oh, so it doesn't see it as a return value or anything. In Kotlin, we have this, the last thing that's defined is the return value. So this would have been nice if I was able to do this. But we can make a note. I would like to be able to set I would like to be able to set different default values based on the error. That would be nice. But I'm not sure that it is possible. Convert to move. No, thank you. That was ugly. Ugly. Well, I guess that there's not much else to do today. I'll try to figure out if this is possible until next time, because it's something where I need to do some research and it's not necessarily possible. And instead of me having to rummage around live, I'll just ask ChatGPT or in the SIG Discord channel, which I can of course recommend. Very nice people, very helpful. So that was it. Not that we moved a lot today, but just training in error handling. And I'm still surprised that an hour goes by so fast when you're just digging into something like this. But it's good. It's good learning some new stuff. It's been a while. So hopefully at some point I'll be able to use this together with Raylib, which I tried before, but as I didn't understand the language, it was a haggy thing at close to vibe coding, because I guess I just asked ChatGPT every time I got stuck, and it's just a bad habit. So I'll try to figure this out and return. So for everybody who's been lurking, thank you for lurking. And as always, this will be uploaded to YouTube as well. All comments are welcome, as I am learning. So until next time, enjoy, have fun, go learn something new.